There was there is, well, not so much, but another pool, if you will, that the armed forces used to utilize is what many have called the poverty draft, right? Because, oftentimes, and even today, many service people that volunteer for military work and armed forces work, I shouldn't say many people, but there are people that volunteer or not volunteer, but decide to enlist and become a member of the armed United States military or armed services. Oftentimes they come from very impoverished neighborhoods or not just neighborhoods, but, tough economic circumstances. And the military is a way for them to elevate themselves out of that without having to go to college and obviously take on additional student debt if they can even get that. So that pool as well is dried up quite a bit because, again, many people are choosing after high school, even coming from impoverished neighborhoods and neighborhoods that are impacted economically, they are also choosing to go into college or even trade school for many. So those are kind of the three reasons why you're seeing the shortage, right? And this is a real thing. This is not something that's just, made up for conversation. So how is this being addressed? And that's really the point that I wanted to get to today. So what many people don't know is that to kind of balance that out, another pool, if you will, of recruiting for those recruiters from the armed forces and from military, they're looking more and more towards immigrants and having immigrants come into the armed forces so they can increase the level of individuals that are enlisting in the armed forces. Now, immigrants going into the United States Armed Forces, this is not a new phenomenon. This has been going on for literally over 100 years. Matter of fact, let me play this clip from, who is this? This is Sophia Aptekar. She is a sociologist professor at the City University of New York. And she was on a podcast called What Next, which she talked about this. She talked about the history of immigrants being drafted or even being recruited to join the United States military. So let me play that clip first, and then we'll go on from there. But this is quite interesting. Take a listen.
Yeah, sure. Since the Revolutionary War, like the state militias had, people born in Europe who were fighting in them. And throughout U.S. history, immigrants played a very important role as just like military labor. And for example, in the 19th century, you see immigrants recruited in the military using cash bounties. And as many as like half, in some of those conflicts, as many as half of the troops were foreign born.
Wow.
And their recruitment allowed the U.S. to avoid drafts.
And so, as you heard there, again, that was Sophia Aptekar. She's a professor, a sociologist professor. But as you heard her say, immigrants since the Revolutionary War have been recruited, if you will, using a cash bounty then to serve in the United States Armed Forces. So this is not a new phenomenon, but there's been a resurgence of this because, of the shortage of individuals who are signing up for the armed forces here in the United States.